Howard, welcome. Happy to invite. I'm just going to be inviting people up today because this is all about sharing gratitude all over the place. All right. So, um,
Uh,
for those of you, welcome, Howard.
thanks for the invite to say hello. I'll say good morning and observe. It'll probably be a cozy call with folks' attention on all that's going on.
Well, let's just kick it off with you, Howard. We wanted to use today to just give thanks, share thanks, and talk about or just do a reflection on 2022 and would love to start with you. What are you grateful for today? And do you have any reflections on what moved for you this past year?
Well, that's a big question, and one I guess I've had some preparation for the last couple of days. I compiled a response to a survey requested. It was called an outtake survey that the Regen Network team asked me to fill out on behalf of the Culture and Carbon Trust to look back on how the grant we received at the beginning of the year came to be used and some feedback on things that worked well and did not within Regen. Obviously, the question you asked is much broader, and I think most people will be reflective in a uh, in a more in a more profound way. But I would like, since it is all fresh, to observe that the grant was really, and the relationship with Regen Network and Regen Foundation was one of the highlights of my personal journey. In the scheme of things, late in life, I'm playing in the fourth quarter, and I'm regarding the nonprofit and our idea of a carbon conservation trust as a capstone to a career working in environmental law on alternative energy and corporate sustainability. I've taken that into and tried to apply it within our local context here on the Salish Sea to be the hub and a catalyst for natural climate solutions. And I don't think we would be possible, at least not being able to pay our staff and have some growing stature within the community, without the support of Regen and the reach that the network has given us to developing methodologies and creating a credit class. And last time I had uh, the privilege to visit with this group, it was to briefly report on the biochar pilot project we were then in the process of completing, and indeed we are now gathering the documentation. That was the subject. Much of the survey was focused on the results of that project, which are still unfolding. And in fact, I see Tika, who's our collaborator, our lead collaborator on that, has joined this group. So I that would be where a lot of my professional gratitude is focused on the way the Regen Network and this project has given a focus to the work and been a real milestone in our journey as a nascent nonprofit to become uh, toward proof of concept. And I think the resources we got and the reach that the Regen Network has given us, I'm very grateful for it being a very, very important piece of our proof of concept. And just one final note, last night I had the opportunity to speak with a new state legislator here in Washington who is going to carry some important legislation for us in the state legislature. And I'm kind of excited about that. Next year, we would, if successful, be able to make real room for carbon credits and eco credits as something that's recognized in state law, and I think would really facilitate some of the work we're doing, and others like us might become focused on. So it's been a very good and a gratifying year to see what we're doing on the ground. We have some carbon in the ground and some points on the board, thanks to the grant and the help we've gotten. And looking forward to next year, we have the chance to use our network locally to build a policy framework that I think could be a model. So others that want to try to do what we're doing will have a policy framework in which to proceed. So that would be my reflections, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Love that, Howard. Very eloquent and well stated. We appreciate you as well. You've been a super active participant in the regen ecosystem, and yeah, making I think in some ways doing a great job of really connecting the biosphere and to the technosphere. And just even to hear the connection all the way to state policy is super exciting and really I think embodies the best of regen. So thank you so much, and I'm grateful for all your
Oh,
work this past
well, you're
year.
very kind to say thanks for that feedback, and I'm hoping that one of the other members of cohort one might join this group so they can talk about what we've been doing in the Regen Foundation endowment. I've used my time, but there's a great story to tell there by another person or for another day.
Awesome. Let's stick around if you can, and maybe we'll have some time. Either way, thank you so much, Howard. I want to pivot over, and by the way, anyone's welcome to join if you want to raise your hand. I'm happy to pull you up. Just a reminder, be on your phone. I think I've already tagged Ekonavi. Actually, I've tagged most people here. So if you do want to enjoy it, please come on up. So those of you who are not aware, this is the Refi Gratitude Week. So we've been working um, uh, a group of us from Refi DAO and Black Artist Foundation, Loa Labs, and Real Simple Labs on putting together a frame or a program that will just allow people to share gratitude to each other and just embody the attitude of gratitude, which is, I think, core and something special that just as a philosophy that many of us share as like a critical component of what it is to be human and what it is to build together is to honor each other's works. And so anyhow, really been really exciting. There's if you go to refigratitude.xyz, you can actually um, uh, purchase a nice little NFT created by the Black Artist Foundation, and it creates a twin mint, allowing you to have one for yourself and send it to somebody that in your world that has done something special or that is just you want to just honor. Anyhow, so refigratitude.xyz, please do take a look at that. I'm going to do another round of purchases and sending as we're getting close to the holidays here, but I'm actually excited that I think it's just going to be an ongoing muscle we all get to flex together and get these and just do the acknowledgments throughout the year, which I think is important. So, with that said, I wanted to actually share my gratitude for my colleague Sarah Baxendale. She's here on the call. Sarah is, for those of you who don't know, is the director of ecosystems for Regen Network Development. She's a friend. She's a colleague. She's my direct point of contact from the Low Labs perspective at Regen Network Development, and she carries a massive load for this ecosystem. I think she's uh, probably, from her importance to regenerative finance is probably understated, just as a just people's understanding of like what helps build up the foundational green building blocks for building a movement around refi. Sarah is one of the key builders, and often works quietly and late into the night, making things happen. From the marketing communication side on my side, or the carbon market side, or just the overall system sides over at R&D, the grant side. I mean, it's just really she's got her fingers in everything, and just wanted to really take a moment and say, Sarah, thank you so much. You've really just been kicking ass for so long, and you have sped into the holiday break with a well-deserved, hopefully, rest and relaxation. You're due, and I just want to know how much I honor you and all that you do here at Regen in the Regen ecosystem, and very grateful that we get to work together every day. So, very big load of gratitude to you.
Thanks, Dave. It's really very kind of you. And I think that, there's a lot of gratitude to go around here, and really the part that gets me and keeps on getting me every year, having done this is my 4th year officially now on Team Regen, is just the humans. We have such an interesting internal team with so many creative people. We now have so many organizations popping up across the ecosystem. And we have all these fantastic humans. And I get really excited for 2023 being able to be filled with more human to human in person time. I think we all, just globally struggled to get through the pandemic. So this year was in many ways our coming out, going to conferences and meeting people in person. And so I do feel just so much gratitude to everyone we've met on the journey this year. I see Antonio and Jan and EcoNavi, who we all met in person at Cosmoverse, and, the folks we met at Refi Summit earlier this year, and just the privilege that we have to be able to connect with so many people across the globe is really unparalleled. And I'm always, always really, really humbled and delighted by the humans in the Regen Network ecosystem and in the Refi ecosystem and in the Cosmos ecosystem. And I feel a lot of gratitude that our protocol, our project sits at the, the intersection of all those different community diagrams or Venn diagrams. So I feel so much gratitude to everybody who really is here today. Yeah, and I see some folks that I want to give gratitude to, and I do want to absolutely encourage folks to come up on stage. This space is fair game for giving thanks to people you see in the crowd and people you don't see in the crowd. But while I see people here, I want to shout out Timo. You are always trying to weave humans together, and I just feel a lot of gratitude about that. I also see Antonio. You are just so much fun in person, frankly. The world does not know how much fun you are. I want to say thank you to Jan, who, when we did our Refiverse side event at Cosmoverse in Medellin, just kind of hit up Jan and was like, hey, you've been talking about that thing on Discord. You want to talk about that thing in front of people? And there were so many people that wanted to keep talking to Jan and corner him. So it was delightful to see how many people were interested in that topic. And EcoNavi, it was just super cool to meet you at Cosmoverse. You totally hung for a lot of Refiverse and hung out with our crew. And I just, feel a lot of gratitude that so many people just showed up and hung out and kept hanging out. That was the one of the reasons that when we were in Cosmoverse, where I got, frankly, a whole hotel with a big outdoor space, is, we tend to attract homies and friends. And so I really, as just a sort of a mama-like person, and as our director of ecosystem, I always want to make sure that we have virtual and physical living rooms, and that people are just so welcome to come and hang and create and chill and just be a part of our vortex, because that's what this is all about. We don't do this work for ourselves. We do this work for the planet, and really does take everybody. And I also see Tika, who is on our Regen registry team, kind of hiding down there in the audience. And want to give a big shout out to Tika for her patience and her organization and her diligence, and her just willingness to keep plugging away, because a lot of times the work we're doing is not that sexy, frankly. And for those of you who are there's some folks on our team who are not here that I do think are really worth giving voice to. While I'm kind of on a thank you ramble, I do want to give thanks to Gregory, who I jokingly and lovingly refer to as our spirit animal. It takes a certain kind of human to be so big as to inspire so many people to take action and to have faith in sort of letting us in the team all just kind of like be the experts and do our thing. That's a real art form, to have that level of trust and also be able to be a guiding force for people that are, leading teams within our squad. And, way behind our scenes, we have this incredible chief technology officer, Aaron Cralius, who probably none of you will ever get to meet, unfortunately. But he is just the most thoughtful, the calmest, and the most generous spirit that we have. And I'm just really, really grateful for him, and really, really always super grateful for Corey, our head of engineering and product, who is just like the source of truth. Like, if you don't know what you're talking about, Corey will just call it out until you know exactly what you're talking about, and then he'll lean in, and he's always willing to teach. I wouldn't know what I know about blockchain technology or code if it had not been for just the absolute graciousness of, I lovingly call him Professor Corey, because if I don't know how it works, he wants to make sure I know how it works, because I'm not technical in my nature. So I just feel so much gratitude for everybody here today. And yeah, oh, I see Gregory. We have a Gregory. So maybe Gregory wants to give some thanks. And I would love to see y'all come up to the stage here. This is about everybody just giving love. So don't be shy in the audience this morning if you are awake.
Happy solstice. Hey,
Yeah.
Sarah. Hey, Dave. And
Happy solstice. Good morning, Gregory.
Hey, Howard, and everybody out in the audience. Timo, I see folks. Excited to be here. Sorry to be a little bit late. It's my wife Amy's birthday today, so I was just doing a couple things with the kids around that, and running a little bit behind for this call. But gosh, well, I'm super grateful for everybody. I'm grateful for folks, a lot of folks here. I'm and grateful for Sarah for so many things. So Sarah, I'm just super grateful for, I feel like when stuff needs to get done, when things are, get rocky or challenging, and there's these moments where everybody's kind of like looking at each other going like, who's gonna take a lead on this and just help make stuff happen. You're always there to just sort of like step up and be like, stay calm, let's handle this, and just make it happen. So I'm super grateful for that. It's you're a massive leader on the team and in the community, and just couldn't be more grateful for that. And I think, echoing a little bit of what I heard you saying, Sarah, I'm just grateful. There's a long list of people I'm grateful for, but I'm especially grateful for, and here I see Howard here, I'm especially grateful for all of the people who are leaning in to develop new eco credit approaches and methodologies. And that's a big, I don't know if, a lot of people on this call know. and so if you don't know, that's such a huge endeavor to be thinking through the science and the economics and the legal contracts and the technology to create an authentic, legitimate carbon credit or biodiversity credit. And it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of risk, and we still are in these early days where it's uncertain about we have signals and we have belief that this is important and transformative and going to drive the future of society and economics. But it's also, let's be honest, there's a lot of risk. This is a new idea. These are new emerging markets. So the amount of time and effort that people are putting in just across the board to roll their sleeves up and go through hard challenges. So there's everybody to be grateful for in our registry team. And I see Tika here, and shout out to Sam and Chiselle for her amazing science work, and Ned and Becca, who's extraordinary, and we could sort of talk at length about each of them and the amazing work that they're doing. And right now, just centering that gratitude on the community members, Coulson Carbon Trust, um, Ecometric, Courageous Lands, Roots, and many more, who are just sort of like doing this incredible work out in the field and thinking really hard about how to express that and register those claims and that data and build these new ecological assets. Um, Gosh, it's so much work. It's so much risk to be taking because our time is the most valuable thing. And so all the time that we pour into trying to make these things happen is, yeah, it's a lot, and I'm super grateful for it. And it's so much under the surface, sort of like, Sarah, I when I got in, I was hearing you share a little gratitude around Aaron Krelius, our CTO, who's been kind of the unsung hero for the Cosmos ecosystem and Cosmos SDK, unsung hero for Regen. Um, there's so many characters like that. I feel like we have just such a beautiful community of just people working really hard without, um, yeah, without it being super publicly visible. I'm always scratching my head around like, how do we preserve the right creative, thoughtful, caring space for people to do deep work, to people to pay attention to the subtleties of what we're trying to build, not get lost in the hype cycles, and at the same time, allow those stories to be told and allow the community to reflect gratitude and co-create and get excited. And that sort of like that communication and storytelling and I guess sort of marketing tension for Regen Network around how to create authentic living learning community for a very broad set of personalities and cultures without turning it into a hype fest and an oversimplification contest, is such a tension. And so I'm really grateful for Dave and the Loa Labs team for holding that tension really gracefully with us, and both in your own messaging and work, but also as you supported us to develop. And it's not an easy task, right? It's not an easy task because when developing messaging campaigns and communication, you always want to be simple and clear. And something about Regen Network is this essence to connect people around the subtlety and complexity of what needs to be true for this vision of valuing life and living systems and regeneration to really work. And that is subtle and complex and not just sort of like, a black and white hypeable idea. In many cases, it requires some thoughtfulness. It requires deliberation and inclusion. And so we've asked a lot of you and everybody to sort of chime in and co-create that. And yeah, I'm just super grateful for people's patience and willingness to engage with that. So I'm going to pause there. There's just so much more, and I'm seeing, I'm thinking of other gratitudes, but I'm going to pause there for a little bit and just let that ring for a moment.
Let's wallow in this puddle of gratitude. Thank you, Gregory, for sharing all of that. It's so nice to have you here. And it's really nice. Hey, big shout out to, maybe another gratitude as you mentioned, Amy, is, we all have our partners, or many of us do, in one form or another. And it's, they carry a big burden of our respective work, whether they're supporting us emotionally or physically with good food, or just tolerating, frankly, hours of calls on the phone every day. I want to give a shout to my partner Tara, who's here, and just a couple rooms over, has got to listen to my loud voice, all day, and brings me nourishing food when I'm sitting here having these calls, for hours on end. So anyhow, there's again a bunch of unheralded, I think, heroes in our work day to day that probably don't get enough honor for and appreciation for all that they do to make this movement that we're all building together successful. So it's just another shout, and also yeah, I don't know, I could go on and on. Gregory, is my gratitude for you and our journey together. But I'll save that for a little bit, maybe later in the call, and see if anyone wants to join. Will or Timo, if any of you want to come up. Otherwise, you're going to hear Gregory, Sarah, and I talk. I do see Tika has joined. Tika, one of the special humans at Regen Network Development. Again, just the massive spreader of good vibes and great work, and working with our grantees and beyond. But Tika, please, what are you grateful for? Any reflections on this past year?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Dave. And I wanted to echo a lot of Gregory's thoughts. I've had the time and space to do deep work this past week, which has been really, really special because I was working on gathering all the documents for public comment for Howard's methodology that's going to launch us into our public comment phase on January 10th. And it was just an amazing time to look at all of the very hard work, as Gregory is saying, that folks like Howard and all of you are doing. And it's just amazing to be seeing people digging into this work with all of the unknowns, and the amount of time and effort and care that goes in is just, it's totally mind blowing. So, yeah, I'm overwhelmed and grateful to be able to work with people like this, and to have all our technology, our marketing, everybody in this integrated ecosystem that it takes to take that work and elevate it to a place where it can be shared. And for people like Howard who want to make that work public and want to have others build on it is just amazing. And yeah, and to have that, the space that's created for all of us to feel safe to do this work, to have the tools built by our amazing software team to take this work into a place and space that people can interact with it, to have Loa Labs that Dave is leading, market it and bring power and energy to it. So yeah, I'm super grateful to be a part of all of that. Yeah.
And Tika, any particular reflections on this past year that you want to shout out, just on some of the highlights of things, the small or big moments for you professionally that are worth noting?
Yeah, I think the end of this year and coming to a place where we have gone through the process of internal review, expert peer review, and now moving into public comment with all of these methodologies. Just like I said, really this past week, taking the time to reflect on that and to look at the process has been amazing. And the energy right now with folks like ERA Brazil and Howard and Ecometric, who we're working with, Courageous Land, and the excitement that we're all feeling of 2023 is really powerful. Of course, the marketplace launch was really exciting, and to see that, I think, was super motivating to all the folks that we were working with, to be able to see how their projects are going to look, how it's going to interact with the world at large. So that was a big one. And then also the grants. I've been taking time to reach out to the grantees I've been working with, and to see the financial lift that was given to these folks, and how that rolled out and how that played back into our ecosystem has been really amazing. So look for some really awesome grant recaps coming in January as well.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Hey, I want to also give a shout out in the crowd. I just saw Ash join us. Ash worked with Regen and is still part of our community, obviously. she did some amazing work on mix of kind of the marketing comms and ecosystem teams, and it's just a bright light. So some incredible bright light that anyone who has the ability to connect with Ash and activate her in their ecosystem is going to be very, very lucky. She is wise beyond her years and just a powerhouse. So Ash, just wanted to give thanks for you for all of your support this past year. It's really great. Um, Anyhow, Sarah Bax, I'd love to get maybe a couple like professional highlight reflections on this past year. It was a really, really big year, I think, for Regen, probably bigger than most people understand, for just like the core building blocks and fulfillment of some key aspects of the white paper that Will here and Gregory and others put together back in 2017, and we got to bring some of that to bear. And then there's um, um, some other aspects related to that. So anyhow, would love to hear, if you have any particular things you want to point out, maybe some things that we've all seen, or maybe some things we haven't seen.
Yeah, I'll touch on a couple of highlights that really were just massive group efforts. Obviously, we've mentioned here the grants program. We had 40 projects and $1.5 million that were invested in a lot of different people trying out new solutions, some of which Tika mentioned are on the methodology and land steward side. And nearly every person in our company was involved in some aspect of grants management and relationship development. And I really think it was fantastic to see so many different community projects get a lift and be able to really become real in a way that would not have been possible without that program. So I just feel so much gratitude for everyone who took a chance and participated as a recipient, and everyone who leaned in on the inside, including Becca, our grants manager, and the foundation for digging into those grant participants and finding folks for CS-Style program and really strengthening our connections cross-organizationally. So really big gratitude to folks there. I think that one of my highlights was kind of the combination of the launch of Regen Marketplace, which was so much work by so many people for so many months, and it coming to fruition really, really felt like the tech we had been talking about, its foundational layer, had been laid, and it really could be used by the community, which is, I call it standing up the rails. It's something I've been waiting for years, being one of the folks that's been around here for a long time. And you really got to see pieces of that developmental journey and pieces of those technology stories, those user stories when we were at Refiverse, because we gave workshops on how the marketplace works. We gave workshops on how groups module and groups decision making, and all of the group addresses are going to work in the system to govern credits. And it's been really, really beautiful to see so many layers come together. I think that folks underestimate the functionality that we now have. And, really part of our 2023 journey is to showcase how community members are utilizing that functionality and the stories of that. And then for me in the marketplace launch, the privilege of being able to feature city forest credits, urban forest credits here in the United States, for me, that being actually quite personal, because one of the projects, Allegheny Land Trust, was on my board at Hilltop Urban Farm, which is how we were originally connected. And this is the first full off-chain registry to blockchain marketplace partnership in the entire refi ecosystem. Their full portfolio they chose to tokenize onto our registry. And not all of it's been released yet into the marketplace, but that was a really big deal to see institutional carbon programs lean, with both feet into the blockchain world as a way to help the projects in their ecosystem come to market faster. So all of this really is about how we're building technology rails and creating space for people to help us design that. And, next year, 2023, is going to be the year of community, and the year of community governance, and the year of community stories, and the year of the community using all of this baseline technology. So I'm just amazed at our engineering team because they shipped so much product. It's sort of something like, it makes me laugh at so much product. And I really feel so much gratitude for every single community member that, even leaned in marginally, because all of our opinions count, and all of that developmental work has really proven to be fruitful when we hold space for everyone's contributions and opinions. So 2023 is going to be the bomb, Dave. I'm super, super stoked about what's coming next.
Yay, me too. Let's build more community. Speaking of, Will Zoll, one of the board members of Regen Foundation, one of the authors of the white paper and visionaries behind the Regen Network concept, a friend, a fellow tea fanatic, a wearer of cowboy hats, really beautiful ones, I'll say. Yeah, and just a really neat person to be around for deep conversation, reflection. I'm always grateful for my time with you, Will, whenever we get a moment together, be it on a bus ride or sitting around a fire. What are you grateful for this year, and any reflections on this past year?
Sure, yeah, thanks. And I'll also just offer a quick correction around Ash's pronoun of Z. But to move into the year and head on from there, I'd shared a little bit about COP15 in Montreal and biodiversity on a different spaces yesterday that you were also convening, and a lot of that is still fresh in my mind. I've been having follow-up calls with various folks. There's this new global biodiversity standard coming into place, and a lot of discussion about kind of what to monitor. Biodiversity is a very complex issue, unlike carbon, where there's kind of this global threshold. Each ecosystem has its own local or regional thresholds. And I guess one of the things I'm feeling gratitude towards is all the scientists, all the economists, all of the people in various governmental positions leaning into the nuance that the biodiversity issue requires of us. I think it resonates a lot with the complexity of the issues that we've been looking at Regen since our founding in 2017, and obviously in some mainstream outlets, things tend to get oversimplified and kind of squished down into a little some just kind of extremely simple metric or something else like that. But I definitely saw both at COP15 and then in follow-up discussions, people really grappling with the complexity of all this. So I guess feeling gratitude to people leaning in on that. And I read a lot of books, and I like to talk about the books that I read and talk to people about books. And the book, well, I'm reading 7 books right now, but one of those 7 books is The Matter with Things by Dr. Ian McGilchrist, who is a neuroscientist and speaks about the left and the right hemisphere of the brain and the mutually both kind of coherent and simultaneously incompatible worldviews of each hemisphere of the brain. So to generalize, the left hemisphere of the brain is focused on instrumental relationships. So like when you're writing with a pencil or typing on your computer keyboard or something else like that, that's generally kind of left brain activity. And then when you're holding your child, or when you're interbreathing with a tree that you're sitting in meditation with, or other kind of relational modes of being, that's more right hemisphere. And the title of the book comes from this concept of a thing, which is a left brain concept. The right brain alternative is one of kind of animism and relationship, and it's kind of fascinating to McGilchrist had published a book in 2009 called The Master and His Emissary, which was looking at the arc of Western civilization and kind of the rise and dominance of left brain thinking, and then the kind of seeds of a different way of what would it look like to kind of recenter right brain attitudes. And I guess I just bring this up because it very much ties into both the questions about what does it mean for communities to come up with meaningful metrics and indicators of ecosystem and community health, and also because it speaks to, I guess, just one more mode or lens into looking at so many of the issues we engage, from rights of nature to indigenous rights and beyond. So I guess I'm feeling sending out gratitude as well to kind of the myriad of paradigms and modalities that allow us to engage the issue of regeneration from new perspectives and new mindsets. So yeah, I'll pause there.
Right on. Thanks for sharing, Will. Awesome. Well, we got another human on stage, my colleague and friend, one of the co-designers of the Refi Gratitude campaign, and somebody who's, man, just been a beautiful addition to the Low Labs team this year, our Director of Operations and Marketing, Brian Truax. Yeah, for those of you who haven't met Brian, I am guessing many of you will get into contact some way or another with him. He's just a tour de force over at Low Labs and bringing all kinds of new ways of approaching problems and evaluating and analyzing systems. It's been a breath of fresh air, and starting to dip his toes into a variety of our projects as well, including Regen Network. Anyhow, but one of his things that people, again, probably don't realize, but is at the root of today is this Refi Gratitude concept. And Brian, I just want to give you a moment to share a little bit about the Refi Gratitude concept, maybe kind of how it's working now and maybe where it's going.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Dave. Wow. First of all, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak, especially right after Will. Will, that was really fascinating, man. I was actually taking notes as you were speaking. It's really cool. I'd love to connect with you sometime and actually have a chat about, which groups and methodologies you think are being the most impactful and kind of capturing it most accurately when we talk about like biodiversity density and biodiversity loss, because I think that's a wild frontier to explore. And Dave, thank you so much for the really kind intro. I really appreciate that. The Refi Gratitude Collection started with Simar Simmer from the Refi DAO and Refi podcast reached out and just said, hey, it's been a really big year, and would anybody like to help us put together something around gratitude for 2022? And we said, the Low Labs team, actually Michael, shout out to him from the Low Labs team, reached out and said, yes, we'd love to do that. And we got together with the Refi DAO team, and we started jamming on what it could look like for us to show gratitude to one another. And we landed on a NFT collection that was designed by the Black Artists Foundation to create this kind of twin mint experience. We were talking about how gratitude is something that you share with someone else, and it's beneficial to both of you. It makes the other person feel great, but there's all this science behind gratitude that we as well, when we're expressing gratitude as a regenerative practice for us, it helps our brain chemicals, our mood, and it's actually a really big part of, like my daily practice. I start my day every day writing down 5 things I'm grateful for, and I recommend everybody else try that if you're not already, especially as we go into like the winter months and, some people start feeling kind of crap during winter. It's a great idea. But the collection is these really beautiful riffs on kind of the refi orb, which y'all have seen around, and we started with that as our inspiration, and went from there to kind of figure out, a couple of different ways that that could look like, and kind of encapsulate like the potential of gratitude within ourselves. I'm gonna do an awful job of explaining the art inspiration because Cinnamon Shear, the artist from Black Artist Foundation, who did the art, would probably do a better job. But the idea is that you can record a message on the blockchain, you can gift an NFT to someone else, and then you get that NFT's twin in your collection. It's on the Polygon network. 50% of the proceeds go to Retiring Carbon, NCT, and the other 50% go to the Black Artist Foundation, which is an artist collaborative trying to amplify and raise Black artist voices in the world, primarily in Web3. So yeah, it's been live for a week or two at refightgratitude.xyz. You can see on my Twitter profile that I think mine is called the Solar or the Cosmos Within, and I set it as my PFP background. You can do that if you want. People in the Refi DAO will help you. There's a Refi DAO orb channel that'll remove the background and set it up for you. But yeah, and I just wanted to actually express some gratitude while I've got the mic really quickly. So much gratitude to you, Dave. You found me 6 months after I had been green pilled, and I was working a really shit corporate job that, for all intents and purposes, is actually great, but it was shit for me because I wanted progress faster than that organization was willing to move at. And you saw, someone who was operating as head of product at this organization that didn't want to move fast, and you gave me the opportunity to step into something that I'm really passionate about, which is climate and public goods and social impact. And you have never once told me to slow down or capped my ambition on anything, and I absolutely love that, and I'm so grateful for you for the opportunity to work with all the great people that Low Labs works with. I got to give a shout out to Gregory. Gregory, actually, when I got green pilled real early on, you were one of the first voices I came across on Twitter. And I have learned so much from you just from following you. A shout out to anybody in the crowd that can take. I saw Gregory tweet the other day something like a Regenerati Santa Claus. If anybody wants to take Gregory's PFP and turn it into Santa Claus, I just think it would be perfect. You could make that beard white, and you could make the hat red, and that could be Gregory's PFP if you want to do that. But yeah, Bax, we haven't had much opportunity to work together, but I am really looking forward to it. The times that we have, it's been great. Got to give a shout out to Justin Lewis. We've chatted on Twitter, but we've never talked. If you want to come up on stage and actually, express gratitude for someone else, I see Simmer is here. Simmer, hey man, thank you so much for the NFT you gave me. Actually, my PFP is a gift from Simmer, and Ishmael Alpha Biota from the Low Labs team. So he came in at 0 hour and solved some really tricky technical stuff on the Refi Gratitude Collection website to get it live. So yeah, I just wanted to invite anyone else up to the stage and just kind of wrap up my time speaking by saying thank you to everybody in this movement. Please do keep in mind that even though we're all working on different things, we are a movement that the planet really needs. And saying thank you to one another is a really regenerative practice that we can do. So thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Well said. Gregory.
Amazing. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
please take us to the next chapter, the closing chapters of today.
Yeah, well, Brian, thanks it's been awesome to just watch you dig in and your creativity be unleashed. And I love that. I so love watching people dive in and just sort of, bring their full selves to making this all happen. I want to shout out a couple gratitudes to people I see. First and foremost, I want to shout out gratitude and happy solstice to Ryan Christofferson out there in the audience. Ryan is the product lead and at the moment lead engineer and so much more for Regen Ledger, and he has been just a hero, helping ship Regen Ledger 4 working on getting Regen Ledger 5.0 out the door, and all of the things before that. And some of the things that I'm most grateful for about Ryan is just the depth of his connection and his care for our community and the planet that's coming through. I think it's so important when we're technologists and when we have the capability and to create new tools, to really be sitting back and reflecting deeply on why are we building the tools and how are these tools going to be used in a way that it isn't just an ends justify the means, right? We have to sort of bring those two things together to create regenerative technology in service to valuing regeneration. And really, in a lot of ways, more than anybody else I know, Ryan embodies that thoughtfulness and that skill and capability to just sit down and connect the why and the ethics behind things, and then to be able to be plowing through quality assessment processes that he may not have thought that he was going to have to do, or whatever it is that needs to happen to get Regen Ledger into shape where people can use it to self-govern this and re-embed these market mechanisms into commons. And so big shout out to Ryan. And he's not here, but big shout out to Tyler, another member of the engineering team who recently just moved off to help lead a new startup, which is really exciting. And shout out to really all the other people on the engineering team, Vitwit, our friends at Vitwit, and Corey, of course, who's been doing fantastic work, and Sarah already mentioned him. But Ryan, wanted to give my gratitude to you. Feel free to come up here if you have anything to say. We don't expect that because it might be embarrassing because I just dropped a giant gratitude bomb here. And I also want to share gratitude for Antonio, who I see in the audience, who was the catalyst for Refi Barichara and has been just such a weaver of this vision of rooting regenerative finance and blockchain technology into the bioregional context, bioregional blockchains, the permacommons concept, and just sort of tirelessly telling the story and inviting us all to connect with that. So I'm super grateful for that. It's been really inspiring and a spur, I think, for us to keep going further and remember how to connect to those roots. That this is really all about, again, how do we create this technological substrate, this infrastructure that enables us to have markets in service to commons and markets in service to soil health and biodiversity. And that requires us to be acting and coordinating and engaging locally and bioregionally. And of course, for those of you who sort of know the origin story of Regen Network, these are some of the first principles that always led us to engage with the Cosmos ecosystem and the ability to have micro chains and regional chains and hubs and really have that flexibility to root the technology into a social and ecological context. So I also want to shout out gratitude to our family in the Cosmos ecosystem. It's been a crazy, dramatic, wild, chaotic ride over the last, boy, I think I first started getting involved with the Cosmos ecosystem probably right around the same time that Regen Network was being founded. So it's been a very foundational relationship. So going 4 or 5 years now. And I'm just, I'm grateful for the culture that I see emerging in Cosmos ecosystem, which is so different, and I think gaining respect from other parts of the blockchain world, the larger crypto movement, for just like a substantively different approach to rooting technology into this modular community run stack instead of more monolithic approaches, and that is useful and important, and more people are starting to engage and get excited, and that story is starting to get out. So, grateful for that. Um, and I think, I see Jacob in the audience. So while I'm talking about our Cosmos friends, just shout out to Jacob and so many others. I could have, like, while I'm on the Cosmos theme, I won't go too much deeper into that, but while I'm there and seeing Jacob, super grateful for Jacob as a validator for Regen Network. I don't take it lightly that Notional has decided to become a validator. Um, and I know sort of there's high standards that Notional has for chains, and I'm excited that despite, I think, Jacob's healthy skepticism around carbon markets specifically, which I think in a lot of ways most of us at Regen share, he's willing to sort of like see the longer vision of this attempt to create a new asset class and a new form and meet the market where it's at with those carbon credits, and sort of cycling that, which is also important, right? Doing that better, more transparently, with less corruption and more integrity, getting carbon markets to where they need to be is important. But this is a bigger adventure, and I'm just grateful for him seeing that and being excited about it as a validator for all of our validators. Really important to shout out to the validator community running Regen Ledger. It's a lot of work. You got to pay attention. You got to be on top of things. You got to be present for upgrades. And yeah, just super grateful. And lastly, I'll just say, in a note to Jacob, I'm grateful for Jacob's courage in calling things out and engaging with that, because I think we get healthier as a broader community when people have the courage to note when something seems off and communicate that. And yeah, so thank you for that, doing that work out there in the bigger ecosystem and bigger world. As we're coming up to the top of the hour, I just, I think I'll just close with deep gratitude for everyone who's listening, for everybody who considers yourself a regen or a regenerate or a regenerati, people who are just tuning in and taking time to learn and listen, people who are dropping everything and devoting their lives to this or something adjacent. As Brian said, this is a big movement, and it's going to take lots of different creativity. And those of us who are day in and day out in sort of the tighter network of Regen Network, I'm so grateful for each of you for the time and attention and care. And we deal with complexity, we deal with stress, we deal with uncertainty, and everybody's just doing it with such grace and fortitude and creativity. So I'm really, really grateful for each and every one of you. So thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Gregory, and thank you everyone who spoke today. That is the end of our Regenerati News Hour, the Gratitude Edition. That is the last Regenerati News Hour of this calendar year. It's one day past winter solstice. The light will find us later and join us for longer parts of the day now. Very exciting. I know there's a big cyclone coming, for a warm cyclone coming for good parts of the United States. Be careful out there. It's going to get cold. But I was just sharing to a colleague just a second ago here how therapeutic these spaces have been this past week. And we just want to give thanks for gratitude, just what that embodies as far as like just a philosophical pillar for all of us to continue to root into. I think this is a good practice. It made me feel better, in uncertain times and tumultuous tumultuous end to the calendar year. I'm leaving feeling pretty good. So I just wanted to give thanks to all of you. I'm Dave Fortson, Gregory, Sarah, Will, Brian, etc. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great holiday, and we will see you on the flip side. Be well. Ciao.